Gaming NBS episode 334, being recorded Monday, March 22nd, 2021. Welcome to Gaming NBS, a tabletop RPG podcast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett. Welcome to the show, folks. Welcome back. If you're new, glad to have you here. Good to have you.
Yeah.
Sean, how the hell are you, man?
Fantastic, Brett. How are you?
Not bad. Did you get any gaming in since we talked last time?
I did.
Die rolling. What'd you do?
I ran session 0 of Star Wars Edge of the Empire with the Jeff gang.
Go well?
Yeah, I thought it went fairly well, actually. It's getting them all together, and they have a good... How they got together is good.
Nice.
Yeah, we're playing this Saturday. Quick turnaround. Like, usually it's like once a month, and what's next month look like? Like, what about this next Saturday? I'm like,
Yeah, Jeff told me about this game. He said it's a feel-good story. So he's really looking for... No, kidding.
Rom-com. It's a rom-com.
It's a rom-com, really, just set in the Star Wars universe. He said Sean's going WandaVision, but for Star Wars. So we're looking forward to it. Should be interesting.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong?
Excuse me. This last Saturday for me was gaming with... anything else you do? Low fantasy?
No low fantasy this week, no. So it was just the Star Wars Edge of the Empire spiel.
My kids wanted to play some card games, so we played Hobbit Tales, which is one of my favorite... our favorite little storytelling card games. And then we played, they said, we want to play Munchkin. I'm like, all right. So it was pretty cool. It was good. We all ended up at like level 9, like out of nowhere, like, holy shit, all three of us are level 9. And then Lana pulled a card and both she and I happened to be clerics. So we both won. So it was a double win.
That's fantastic, man.
AJ was all geared up to like steal the win and pull like super Munchkinism, but he got trashed. So it was great. It was fun.
Yeah. That'll do it for sure.
Ilana usually does not win that game. So she was super wicked happy because the card said, if this card allows you to win, something along like you may ridicule the other players mercilessly. So she spent the rest of the evening mercilessly ridiculing her older brother, which is awesome. It was good for him. We also did little Dungeon of the Mad Mage last Thursday as well. Yeah.
How did it go?
It was okay. And we're going to talk to Alpha. We got to do something. Either change characters, change up something. It's kind of... I'm bored. And I don't think it's anything he's doing like on purpose or whatever it is. But either we're doing something wrong, but I think the whole why the fuck are we down here is lost at this point. So we got to pull our shit together and talk to our game master and say, hey man, what are we doing wrong? How can we fix this? Can we do something better, different somehow? But yeah, we gotta get that sucker back on track. So we'll see what happens. This week is Greyhawk, so that'll be fun.
Greyhawk.
They're going into their second actual dungeon. So it'll they might lose a couple. We'll see what happens. They're playing pretty smart.
I have Forbidden Lands on Thursday. Oh, actually, no. Next Thursday, I'm a week off. Tuesday of this week, I have Delta Green.
That's tomorrow.
It is tomorrow. 17:45 Delta Green.
Is that VC's game?
No.
You're running?
No, it's the doc group.
The 17. I'm sorry. I thought you were giving me military time.
17:45.
I thought you were giving me a military time for the start. I'm like, all right, 17:45. Good for you. All right. That's right. You're weird ass Delta Green, not Delta Green.
It'll be fine. I have faith in Ian. I have faith.
All right.
I have faith,
It'll be fun.
It'll be great.
If nothing, I'll sit back, enjoy the ride.
It's going to be fantastic.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
So I know you heard this because I see the show notes, and I saw it too. Mm-hmm. Alex Cameron, the boys from Gamehole, they've ordered event posters.
They have.
It's going to be in person.
That's what they say.
Wow. Are you going?
If I'm fully vaccinated, I will. And as long as my wife is fully vaccinated, I will. Which we should be by then. Like if we're not by then, there's a bigger problem.
Yeah, at this point, if you don't, that either should probably mean you don't want it, right? Because we're talking about October.
Right.
Yeah. So if you've dodged it until then, yeah. So I want to get vaccinated. Just get it fucking done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a couple more implanted microchips. What do I care? They're Microsoft branded anyway. They'll probably fail and be hacked eventually. So anyway, so I'm not worried. Did I tell you that when I was getting my haircut? This is a weird segue, folks. So before I moved from Richland Center up here, Sean, getting my haircut. Stopped in, one last haircut, get it done. And the guy in front of me, there's only like me on this end of the room and, hairdresser and one dude over there. And I can hear him talking because there's nobody else in the shop because they're running as much, social distance and such. And he says, yeah, some of my coworkers are really worried about all the microchips in that vaccination.
You gotta be kidding me, right?
All of them? Like, how many fucking microchips do you think they're cramming in that? How big is that syringe? It was on the size of a ballpoint pen. What the fuck? That was the weirdest. That was weird. And lady who used to cut my hair down there said, oh, yeah, just trying to, go along with it. And she's like, that guy's weird. Weird. And he was like, that's just all of them. Like, holy fuck. He was like, just a handful? What the fuck? Anyway, so GameholeCon. Go to GameholeCon.com.
So I have a question, Brett.
And check that sucker out. Yeah,
are you going to go? I haven't asked you. Are you going?
I plan to, yeah.
Are you going to are you going to submit events as soon as they open up?
I plan to. Why?
Well, I'm just I don't know. You asked me.
You've got a sly looking face there, buddy. Maybe it's the mustache.
No, it's
a new haircut you're giving me like you're, I don't know.
Well, dude, there's, I don't know, a pandemic going on. We're not vaccinated, and there's a con in October that seems to be going forward. You could still say, yes, I'm going, but I'm going to hold off on events.
I plan to set up events and run one or two, and I'll get vaccinated beforehand, so I'm not too worried about it.
Sure.
At that point.
Do you know what you're going to run?
I got to run an Avalon game, at least one. Otherwise, I'm leaving money on the table. That's just stupid. That's just dumb of me not to.
Well, dumb is a strong word, Brett. I mean,
no, I have strong feelings about it. I'll say dumb. That'd be dumb of me not to. And I'm tempted to run, something a little bit different. I kind of want to run DCC like a funnel just for the sheer thrill of it, but I don't know. But definitely at least one game of Avalon, most likely two of those, and I'll figure out something else too. I like to run about 3 games at GameholeCon, so it doesn't get in my way.
3 games, yeah. It's a good balance.
I don't like running games on Sunday because Sunday's just wrap up, go home day.
Right. I agree.
Type of thing.
I'm with you.
So the other thing we got to do is we should get a hold of Alex or whomever is doing the thing and see, are they doing podcast boosts and that type of thing? Is that a thing we're going to do or not? Don't know.
What if there isn't?
I don't know. Well, that's less shit to carry.
True.
Right? Because I usually, I'll have to find. So if we do have it though, then
that's our hangout. Without it, where would we hang out?
What I plan to do then is I'll hang out right in front of registration in protest that we don't. That's just to clog the area so that they know we're annoyed.
I can appreciate that.
I wouldn't do it. It'd be tempting. I don't know, man. That's honestly a thing you and I got to figure out is that if they don't do that for whatever, if they say health and safety reasons, they don't want X, Y, or Z. I don't know. I don't know how much of a normal con this will be versus different in some way. Don't know. So just more questions, shit we got to figure out. But we got some time. We'll suss it out.
Sounds good, man.
Anything else?
No.
Let's go to Random Encounter.
Random Encounter, segment of the show where we talk about and handle voicemails, emails, comments from social media.
You first.
Akadokin.
Akadokin. Nice.
I started with... So he's talking about RPGs that influenced our play. Mm-hmm. He says, I started with the Molde basic D&D and dabbled in AD&D when I could get my hands on it. To be honest, I'm not even sure I knew what the differences were when I was younger. I grabbed anything I could get my hands on. That said D&D on the cover.
Same here, bro. Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Much the same. Sorry, Sean, carry on.
From there, I have to revise what I said during Monday's recording because I realized there was an important step for me between D&D and Vampire the Masquerade. West End Games' Star Wars, the role-playing, game was the game that introduced me to RPGs outside the mold of D&D. My family wasn't well off, but my parents cobbled together enough money to take us to Disney World because the Star Tours ride had just opened in '87. We were huge fans of Star Wars. As we left the ride, we passed through the gift shop, and that is where I discovered Star Wars, the role-playing game, and the Star Wars sourcebook. My young mind was blown. I didn't have much money for souvenirs, but I bought both books and had just enough left over for a Pirates of the Caribbean rifle.
Rifle.
Oh,
yeah.
rifle. Yeah, I suppose a rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a real rifle, though.
Hey, it's a pirate game.
Who knows?
Things happen.
It's Disney. They're crazy.
It's Disney. Yes.
That game opened my eyes to a wider world of RPGs. Because I was so familiar with Star Wars, I immediately fell into the groove of telling stories in this Star Wars vein that were nothing like our D&D adventures. I started branching out from there looking for other games, and soon I found my way to Robotech, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Heroes Unlimited. All Palladium books, of course. In '95, I played Call of Cthulhu for the first time, and I was not ready for that game. I knew how to play adventurers and superheroes, and I also had no idea who H.P. Lovecraft was. My horror lit education had gone no further than horror movie adaptations and a little bit of Stephen King. The game was great. I still remember most of it to this day, but I wasn't in the right mindset for it yet. In late '95, my friends introduced me to Vampire the Masquerade and the Wider World of Darkness. That's when I got really deep into the storytelling side of gaming, and not just because that was the name of their system, hee. White Wolf's work changed my world for the better, and I loved the community, quirks and all. I eventually became one of the moderators on the White Wolf forums, but this is a story for another time. Vampire the Masquerade taught me about creating a real character and diving deep into that persona with that group. My gaming would spread out from there. I did eventually return to Call of Cthulhu once I had properly educated myself, and it is one of my favorite games to play now. Anyway, great episode. Thanks for churning up the nostalgic memories.
Thanks, Akadoken. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I think you say there, which I think you say, that you absolutely did say, is you saw the Star Wars game and went, ooh, it's not D&D, but it's something I understand and I'm very familiar with it, which is back in the day, there were only so many RPGs, depending what story you ran into or how you ran into it. Sometimes D&D was all you knew. And that was one of the things when I first saw, I remember going past Walden Books in the Wausau Center Mall, and I saw the Middle-earth role-playing box set on a wall. I went, oh my God, there's a game for this world I love. You know, mind blown. I have to have this done, right? Had to have it. Save up, go get. There you go. So Robotech, I knew a couple of guys in high school that loved anime. They loved the animation stuff. They were cartoons, comics, anything to get in that big robot world. When they found out there's a Robotech game, boom. You know, it was like, I love D&D, but they also had this huge love for this other property, and that IP as a role-playing game grabbed them. So I could definitely see where that would pull you in that direction and kind of open you up to other ideas. That's pretty cool. Anything else, Sean?
No.
All right. Let's see here. Stefan Dragonspawn emails us about RPG Tourist. Hello there, sexy BSers. A few comments on the last topics you fine gentlemen discussed recently. One on tourism. I find nothing wrong with touring a few new games if I've heard some good things about it. While at cons, I have tried some games in order to get a first-hand vibe on it. This can help me decide if I want to buy it and play it more often. Or I've got enough friends that some of them have run games for me in systems or settings that I've been curious about. That is actually very handy. If you got a really good group of total aside here, if you got a good group of gamers that you're hanging out with and they're willing to like spin through their collections with you, that could be a lot of fun. Excuse me. Sometimes, he continues, it has confirmed that the system or setting in question isn't for me. Other times I've discovered a hidden gem. 2, the purge of RPGs. This is something that I've had to do multiple times in my life due to some major life changes as well as moves. There have been times when I have regretted giving up some of my books. Some books, not so much. Goodbye and good riddance. At this point in my life, I try to filter carefully what RPG books I will buy, not always successfully, LOL. And even before these COVID times, I focused on digital media since they take up less space and can be used more easily on virtual tabletop games, which is how I've been gaming in the last 4 years or so. 3, changes. I guess this can be tied to the tourism topic, as the games I've tried at cons or for fellow GMs have often allowed me to improve or change some of my role-playing and gaming habits. For example, when I began playing with Savage Worlds rules after playing 3.5 D&D for years, I then wanted to run games with a little less crunch and allowed me more leeway and creativity to everyone around the table. Even when I went back to the D20 system, I tried to port over what I learned from those other systems. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking the various D20 systems. They have a lot of fans and some good things about them. That's it for me for now. Still enjoying the show, obviously, and your banter. P.S. Very happy to know you like the portraits I made of both of you. Getting back to drawing has been a great thing for me these days. It's a means to relax and pass the time. Love, hugs, and big wet kisses. Have a gay day. Regards, Stefan Dragonspawn. I love Stefan. And those portraits are still awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No, I think that's all good stuff. I think it's very, on the changes piece that Stefan says, it's interesting how you learn a new game, like in his case, you learn Savage Worlds, whatever. And it's cool. There's a gem, a nugget, or something you really like about it. And whenever you run the next game, you kind of drag it along with you. I know a lot of my D&D stuff after I played World of Darkness has a World of Darkness tone to it because I kind of can't help it. Very cool. Thanks, man, for writing in. Appreciate it. Over to you, Sean.
Yeah, thanks, Stefan. Mark D emails us an RPG purge. Let's see.
You all right?
I'm all right. I'm just fine.
Good.
I'm just fine. This topic of the RPG purge has been weighing on me heavily in recent times. Thanks for giving it the old gaming and BS treatment. As a collector of many things, I can easily justify whether or not to keep certain items by asking the simple question of, does this thing bring me joy? But as a completist, this simple question becomes complicated. My insane comic book collection brings me immense joy. Part of that joy comes from a sense of completion. Knowing that I have every single X title from the mid-'70s up until a few years ago, or a full run of Iron Man dating back to the '60s, even though I haven't read them all yet, brings a certain sense of fulfillment or satisfaction.
Holy shit, I want to see that collection.
It's probably pretty crazy, I'm guessing.
That's insane. That's awesome. Keep going. That's, wow.
I have no problem going through my closet and saying, I haven't worn any of these shirts in the past year. Donate. So why do I still have a milk crate full of AD&D second edition books when I haven't played that game in decades? Inquiring minds want to know, Mark. My friends and I are getting ready to retire our AD&D first edition characters after 8 years of gaming, and I can't wait to be done with them. I might even burn the various iterations of my character sheets and campaign notes in an effigy to finalize the ordeal before we start over with brand new characters in 5th edition. For some reason, I'm deliberating the idea of hanging on to these 1E core books. Do I have any desire to play the system again? Not likely. So do I use my nerd cred if those books are no longer... Do I lose my nerd cred if those books are no longer displayed on a shelf in my home, even if I never use them again? The answer would be no. You don't.
The second answer is you tell me what titles you have, conditions of those books, and then I may make you a fair offer if I need them. But that's just an aside. Just an aside there. Carry on, Sean. Keep reading.
Just saying, Brett.
Just saying. Yeah. Saying.
Brett, I understand your nostalgia with hanging on to those White Wolf publishings. Sean, I feel your frustration with the time and effort involved with selling online. Warren Zevon said, we love to buy books because we believe we're buying the time to read them. Let that quote sink in for a moment. I say,
very true.
I say, so true. Perhaps we hang on to things as if grasping at moments that only remain in our minds. Mark, official BS archivist Dawson. P.S. Apologies for waxing poetic. I may have drunk some mead in alignment with my Viking roots while composing this email, but somebody please talk me off this damn ledge. Should I keep these books as some sort of weird reference, or would someone else put them to actual use?
I had a talk about this with my buddy Lenny. Went for a walk today. I can't truly exercise because of post-surgery and all, but I can get out and do something in the decent weather. So I went for a walk. I said, I'm wondering if I should get rid of those vampire books. The old White Wolf stuff I've got. And he's like, really? I'm like, dude, are we ever going to play that game? And I said, it's also not a game that any of my kids will play.
Could be in the next campaign, Brett.
It's not going to be.
What did Lenny say?
He's like, yeah, that's a good point. I think that kind of ran its course for us, and blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, I just don't see it coming back up, man. Just don't see it ever happening. So it might happen. I might have to reach out to Papa Swick and see if he's interested in doubling up on any of his World of Darkness collection. I don't know. I might have to do it.
So we're gonna answer Mark. What? So put him to someone else. Put him to actual use, or does he keep them? What do you say, Brett? Brett has an ulterior motive. Brett says to give them to him or sell them to Brett.
I'll take them. I'll pay shipping. Honestly, if you look at if you have it, and that's where I'm looking at some of my World of Darkness stuff. When I glance over there, I'm like, am I ever going to use it? Some of them are good reference manuals, and I have looked at those, but there's a series of like the limited edition slipcase, leatherette rule set, blah, blah, blah. And Spot and Camarilla in a similar slipcase with the leatherette. I'm not going to use them. I bet you somebody somewhere is probably wicked happy to have them. Joe Swick is probably going to kill me because I didn't bother to sell them to him when he was looking for stuff. But maybe I could ease his pain and cut him a deal. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know.
I say get rid of him.
I don't know.
I say get rid of him, Mark. You heard it here.
Especially if that first edition D&D stuff, I don't have to sell it to me, dude. But the point is that if you're never going to play it, you really don't like it, or if it's nothing you could, why? You get the PDFs of it, man. Anyway,
there was another email that I had saw. I think a comment on our forums where somebody was saying how it actually stresses them out. Like there's like having so much stuff and having so many bookshelves, and it's
yeah. Sometimes the volume can be overwhelming or daunting, and especially if it's not, if you feel like it's clutter, and you don't feel like it has a place,
right,
and so on. I cleaned out, as I said on the show when we talked about it, I cleaned out a bunch of stuff I picked up at auctions over the years. And my game shelf is much smaller because of it. But I like what I have a hell of a lot more. And it's not nearly as impressive from wow, look at the volume of stuff you have, Brett, but that's okay because I don't have enough room for all that. Right. For some of that stuff. Especially room for stuff that I don't want to play or don't enjoy that much. That's the other piece. I'm enjoying the hell out of some of the stuff I'm playing right now. So I'm like, yeah, I'll keep this shit. This makes sense. I like this. I can see continuing to play this. So anyway, I don't know, man. I don't know.
There was something that came up recently where I considered buying it. And I don't know if it was the Ravenloft game thing that's coming up.
Oh, the redo?
Yeah. And I thought, ooh, or something else might have been too. And then I'm like, no. I just Nope,
not my thing. No.
Oh, I know. Knights Black Agents GM screen. It was on my wanted list at Noble Knight, and it came up in my inbox along with Horror on the Orient Express, and I'm like, $800 that thing's going for.
It's a good game. It's a hell of a good adventure.
And it goes like I've gotten an email, and then I go to Noble Knight, and it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, this thing is gone.
Yeah, it goes fast.
Wow. Yeah. Anyways,
but I could definitely see why you wouldn't want to buy the guide because why? When's the last
Knights
time you
Black Agents. I'm a GM guy, so I like grabbing the GM screens, and they're sometimes good references. And I'm like, I haven't ran it yet, and frankly, if I don't get it to the table, man, I might have to put that thing on the chopping block. Same with Trail.
I could see it though, dude. If you're not playing it, you're like, I've got it, and
I got Call, COC, and then I got Trail.
Yeah, I mean, and it's two flavors, very similar flavors. Right. And if you like one better, my buddy Lenny does not like Trail of Cthulhu rule set. He loves Call of Cthulhu. Fine, I like Trail and I like Call. Depends who I'm playing with.
Right.
So I don't know, man.
I don't know either. There you go, Mark. There's your answer.
Yeah, we don't know, and we're of no help to you. Love, Brett and Sean.
Have a nice day. Come back.
Let's move on. Let's move on before we...
Come back now, you hear?
Let's move on.
That's not the one I want to play.
What the hell?
Jesus.
Show's starting over? There we go.
Alrighty then, Brett.
So I was originally going to talk about the World of Darkness today. I thought, hey, games have changed our lives and so on. But I really want to get at something a little deeper than this, is that Sean has this unbridled hatred at this point. He's just a boiling cauldron of rage. It's all focused around 5th edition D&D.
That's not the source of my rage, by the way, in case anybody wants to know.
I don't know. It seems really, I mean, it's nothing else. That's the thing you're whipping, that's the whipping boy for you. So Sean, I want to know, if we pull out 5e, if you could show us on the what it did to you, why you hate it so much. You just have this, you spit on your books the other day. I saw it. It just made me upset. No, I'm kidding. So Sean,
make a good video though, I think.
Holy crap! You would gain a lot of the wrong kind of followers and lose a lot of the right kind of followers.
Agreed.
And like that fast. So Sean, you used to be like a big 5e guy. I'll say when I first met you, 5e was there. No, you're like, oh Brett, you would kind of like this. At GameOCon 2, we sat down for dinner with Doc. Like, hey Doc.
Yeah.
And Doc sells Brett on 5e with Sean, like, oh, look how cool this is, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you should do this. It's Sean's fault that I bought the player's handbook and the monster manual.
I can neither confirm nor deny this.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's Sean's fault. And so, but however, and this isn't, and jokes aside, right? Sean doesn't hate the game. However, sometimes our tastes change, and sometimes we walk away from, and I'm not talking walking away from the hobby, but this hobby is so vast at this point with flavors and types and options available, the golden age of gaming, as I say. Sean, is it the people or is it the game? Well, what are you looking for?
The people or the game?
Yeah.
So tell me, Sean, who do you hate? Do you hate the people or the game or both?
Yeah. When did you stop beating your friends? Yeah. When did you stop kicking your cat? When did you stop kicking the cat, Sean? So what I mean by that, allow me to clarify, is are you finding that, so D&D often referred to as the toolbox game on the show and in other places.
Yeah, toolbox game, blah, blah, blah. Don't have to adhere by rules, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So are you more interested in this curated, quasi-snooty approach of gaming where you, I'm kidding. Are you more interested in
we're attracting all kinds of people to us tonight.
Everyone's going to hate us.
Yeah.
But anyway, trying to put my jokes aside here is hard to do, but are you, because of what I'm watching you with like Alien, Mothership, Call of Cthulhu, and now Forbidden Lands, I'm like, man, Sean is really grooving on this, what I call a fully supported single mode style of play. Is that, and you just don't like the toolbox approach, where, because D&D has to support multiple modes and styles of play based on how it's made. It's just meant to do that. High fantasy, low fantasy, horror, blah, blah, blah. You modify, you tweak it, you do this stuff. A game like Forbidden Lands, though, is built and designed around an experience. That's there to help you do that. Mothership, built and designed around an experience, and the pieces and parts are there to help you stay with that experience. And if you break that experience, it is more jarring, perhaps, and sometimes easier to correct than, like, say, if you're playing Ravenloft and someone has a weird lizard man character you don't like or something. So have your gaming tastes changed? Or is there something about 5e that's just kind of like, I'm done with it? Kind of what's making you not turn your back on, but like set it aside? What's making you say, like, hey, if I don't play 5e for a year, I'm fine with that? Tell me, Sean, what's your fucking problem?
So for the record, I think 5e is a fine game.
Goddamn right it is.
I think the people that play 5e are fine people.
That's true, they are.
Okay. Let's establish those facts right goddamn now. No matter what kind of words Brett tries to throw down this throat.
No matter how I try to coerce him into something that's obviously garbage. But anyway.
But I have had a bit of a change, and I'm not opposed. I mean, I haven't sold my 5e books. I got rid of a few adventures that I know I probably won't run that I've heard aren't that great, like Dragons of Tyranny, Horde of the Dragon Queen, just, but I've kept Tomb of Annihilation. I've kept Curse of Strahd. I've got some of the Splat books, Volo's Guide, blah, 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 right? So those, I have contemplated getting rid of them just because I'm like, you know what? when I want to play them, I'll just pick them up again. I don't know. Maybe. Whatever. Keep the core 3. Who knows? Regardless, I like to explore different games. So I think there's two. I don't want to say there's two different gamers, but however, off of Intricaso's Twitter polls and saying, "Hey, D&D 5e players, what's the major reason why you don't try a different game?" And they say they don't want to try another rule set or learn another rule set. Okay. And then the ones that do, why do you look at different games? And they say because they like to try other games and other rule sets.
Variety,
exactly. So I'm the variety guy, the variety camp. And I think 5e is a great game. Curse of Strahd was everybody. I mean, we've talked about the Curse of Strahd campaign. It came up again this weekend and the prior with Jeff and our interaction with that. So I don't want to beat that dead horse. But if I run D&D 5e, I personally have to be in the headspace to say, I'm going to run 5e. And what does that mean? That means that everybody's a hero and that it's going to take 3 death saves. And that's assuming I'm playing by the rules as written, which is usually what I do. I don't hack a lot of shit like Brett does and say, hey, I'm going to rip this out and put that in there and, Streets of Avalon it up or whatever it is that Brett does. So I have to be in that mode. And I think if I did it again, I would probably run an Eberron game and I would make it high adventure and I would make magic kind of proliferated out there and it would be fun. But my brain right now is not in that frame of mind. And so if I ran it, it wouldn't be something I personally would enjoy. Or if somebody said, hey, Sean, I want to run a game, will you play in it? I would have to consider well, what is it? What are you looking at? And frankly, it would have to be a real hard sell.
So you're looking at, does this go back to you want a game right now? Your headspace is in, I want a game system that supports a very single specific mode style of play.
Maybe.
Because if I have to hard sell you on a D&D game, that usually means that I have to explain to you in detail what rules, what components, what pieces, what parts, what are you doing in Avalon, Brett? And why are you using D&D for that?
Well, it's all going to be dependent upon if Brett comes.
And I'm not saying no, and I sounded accusatory.
No, I know.
To, Sean. So I'm just telling you, just for anybody else out there, that's not what I wasn't trying to be a dick about.
I'm
that.
Not taking it that way.
I think that's a legit thing though. It's what are you using 5e for? Have you ever thought about, this sounds fun or it doesn't sound fun or I don't want to mess with it. I mean, those questions are legit questions. It's not being an asshole.
I think there's a lot of 5e love out there. There's tons of 5e. My Twitter feed is full of 5e love. The Gaming and BS one especially. There's a lot of people that we follow that are 5e designers, players, whatever, and supplement and third parties and stuff like that. And that's great. And it's the 500-pound gorilla, and that's fantastic. But at the same time, I'm kind of there's other games that are just as good, if not, in some opinion, better. It's all, relative. It's all subjective. So for me, if Brett came to me and said, I'm going to run a 5e game, Sean, I want you to play in it, I'd say, first of all, I got shit tons of stuff going on other than.
You're busy. No, I get it.
So that's one thing. And then I say, okay,
Same.
Brett, what are you thinking? Long-term, short-term, one shot? Okay. Long-term, middle of the road, 4-session arc. Maybe not. Oh, but it's gonna be different. It's this or it's that or it's got a certain angle. Come on, man. Come on. And I'd say, well, maybe. So aside from the scheduling, aside from whether it's a one shot, it would have to be something that I would want to be interested in right now. I mean, I played Delta Green, so I have a very big interest in Delta Green. I always have. I don't think I discovered it late in life. I'm a late comer to Delta Green, right?
No, you are. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
And I think that reading it and understanding it and the bonds and the campaign we're going to be rolling, I'm playing it, and eventually I'll probably GM it because we're going to rotate GMs. So that's the stories in that are going to be interesting to me. Not that the D&D won't, but it's just not something that, I mean, even fantasy, Forbidden Lands we're running, it's a completely type of different fantasy. I just think that's what I'm looking for, is something a little bit, if I were to say fantasy in a box, and I wanted to package it and I would say, ooh, and open it up and want to kind of delve in, it would be something a little bit lower in level as far as D&D. I don't want to play, not that everybody's superheroes, but let's face it, the premise of 5e, and it states it in the books, is that everybody's a hero. You're heroes.
Yeah, I think I would almost liken this to use the food analogy, Sean. It's like I like cookies. I like chocolate chip cookies.
Right.
But I also like macadamia white chocolate chip cookies. Right. I do not like peanut butter cookies, but I know some people love peanut butter cookies.
Come on, Brett.
I know there's a lot wrong with me, and then we'll get into it later.
Fair.
Snickerdoodles. Also, I mean, I love cookies. Point is, at a certain,
where is this?
List them all,
I can't
man.
wait to see where this goes. I love cookies.
You have eaten and been involved. You've had nothing but, quite frankly, I think you played a fuck ton of 5e. I think you're full of 5e at this point. You've experienced so much of it that because you like to branch out and try other things and try all these other games, it's difficult to find the time to do that. And you've experienced so much 5e. It's not that there's nothing new in 5e, but you would be harder pressed to say, ooh, it's a new way to play D&D with a horror bent on it. You like, I will play Call of Cthulhu. It's a new way to play D&D with this bent. I have Savage Worlds, which is totally fine. I think, quite frankly, you may have just gotten sick of it, played it too much. I mean, it fucking happens, man.
Akadoken Psycho, I just figured it out. Sean is going through his world of darkness phase of life.
Yeah, he's like, this is, yeah, he is. It totally is. No, there's a point where I think, we both know people. We both know a guy who played Pathfinder, and that's all he played.
Yes.
He did not know that 5e was a thing until like 2 years after it was out.
Truth.
He had no concept.
None.
Because he and his group played Pathfinder. That's all they fucking played. He didn't go online, didn't check anything. That's all he plays.
Yep.
And AJ's friends like to play D&D because that's what he started running with them, and I played with them. And that's the big game. They like that. AJ will mention other games. Oh, my dad ran Call of Cthulhu. I don't know. I like D&D better. They haven't even played the game. They just like the concept better. They're not full. They haven't gone in and spent their time there, right, for whatever that's worth. And some people go in and play a game and say, I'm done. I played Call of Cthulhu. You know what? It's a palate cleanser. Play it once every quarter just to kick the tires on the old girl, and I'm happy. You know, then I put her back in the garage. That's all I need. And other people like to spend quality time in different areas. And I think some of what you like to do, which I actually admire because you've got a really good stable of different things you like to try. And you like to put a decent amount of time to each thing that you're trying. I think it's wicked difficult to do that if you're always going back to an intense 5e campaign. You know what I'm saying? It's something you've tried. Oh, you know it, you understand it, you get it, you grok it, you can play 5e in your sleep. You want to learn something new and different. We only have so much free time, right? So if you're going to do that, something's got to give. You don't want to quit all the other aspects of your life just to free up more time. You're married, that'd be bad. So you got to cut something in the hobby then. And within the hobby is that, hey, you know what? We're going to push this big gorilla off to the corner. Doesn't mean it's bad. It just means I don't have time for it. I want to play other stuff.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. There's no, without a doubt. There's nothing bad, nothing negative. I wouldn't slam 5e or any other game for that matter, regardless of my personal tastes or preferences.
Now, one of the things that you and I have talked about with like Forbidden Lands made this this topic come to my head was because you said Forbidden Lands is so different than D&D. It's totally not D&D, Brett. Oh my God. And I'm like, okay, I get that. I don't care about that statement. Brett doesn't. I'm like, whatever. It's not D&D. Neither is Star Wars, dude.
So every time I say that, you don't care what I say?
I don't care.
You don't care?
It's not that I don't care what I say. I just don't care about you. No, that's not it either. I'm kidding. What I want more, though, is I want to know how is it different? So that made me think, and then you've explained it to me. I'm like, how? Tell me more. So on Vox, you're like, hey, man, it works like this. I'm like, okay, I'm getting it. You're explaining it to me. So what that made me think was I'm like, Sean is looking for what I call the curated kind of defined experience. You're looking for experience that is fantasy, but done in a specifically different way that isn't a house rule on top of an existing thing. You want a whole new look from a totally different group of people that have created a different mechanic system. You know, resolution mechanics are different. This interaction's different. All this is different. Yes, Brett could do the same thing with 5e, but I would be house ruling it to make it have some of the stuff you've talked to me about. You don't want that. You want to play, because you like to play more rules as written than I do. So I think that makes sense. Yeah.
I do. You're right. But there is a game that I want to run that is not, that I want to do some house rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What is that?
Well, I want to run. I'm thinking what I want to run at some point in time, and I'd be soliciting probably some BSers and maybe some folks from the community. Is I'm thinking about running maybe BX and probably some Borrow Maze. I'd probably run Borrow Maze and.
That's a fun dungeon.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I'm sure I've heard a lot about it. I've heard it's
and talk about the ability to have a drop in, drop out.
Right, and I would probably insert some combat wheelchairs. Probably put that in there, and then I'm thinking probably what else can I? There was some things that were going through my brain, and I was just thinking about these, Brett, sitting at home the other day, and I'm like, once Forbidden Lands is done, it's the fantasy kind of fill I'm getting right now, right?
Yeah.
And once that's over, what could I do next? And I'm thinking, why not run BX? And then I would probably insert like Dragonborn and Tieflings into the game. So I would.
Is this the quest for the gatekeeper? Is this the one you're talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Where you go through, you find the different gatekeepers and just destroy them.
Well, it's hard to say. So I'm thinking that stuff, and then the orcs would be. I think the orcs should be the good guys, and the humans are the bad guys. And I think I would do that. I would probably stream it, put it up on YouTube, and get some feedback. But I think that's got some wheels, man. I think. I mean, if you're gonna take something and you're gonna implement some house rules, come on, let's implement some frickin' house rules, man. Let's
go all in.
Come on. I mean, level restrictions, all that stuff. That's kind of low bar, right? Like, but let's turn it up to 11. Let's see what happens. Let's create a story. Yes, if you're going to go into that dungeon and you're in a combat wheelchair, maybe it's, I got to figure that out because I haven't read much on it. But if that's something we could put in there and somebody wants to play that, then I want to okay, you come to stairs, then what's going to happen?
I showed, as a total aside, Sean, I showed that to my daughter, Ilana, and my buddy, AJ. My son, AJ, excuse me. You know what AJ and Alana's comments were? That's fucking awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
I put some four-wheel freaking tires on that sucker, man.
They saw it and they're like, that's the coolest fucking thing in the world, because they love being creative and finding fantastic ways in a fantastic world to do fantastic things. And
some people may say, you know what, Sean, thanks for hitting me up to want to play that, but I'm not interested. And I go, okay, that's okay. Like Brett, I could ask Brett, and Brett could say, hey, you know what, Sean, I got shit going on. That's not my jam. Like the pitch that you're kind of putting out there is not for me. But you go and have fun, and I could say, all right, man, thanks, I appreciate that. So going back to kind of 5e, and I don't know if that's I don't need 5e to do that. I mean, I could do it in another game if I want to. I mean, it's my game. Right? It's my game.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no gaming police. Brett, are you going to come into my house and tell me how to run my game?
No, I can't, Sean. You've seen to that. There's legal precedent. I'm not allowed to do that anymore.
No, we
would never.
We told Brett, hey, you can't be coming in and messing with my game anymore.
No,
but I think
never do that. Never.
I think with 5e, it's a just for me, it's a time and place for me where I'm going to explore other stuff, and there's nothing wrong with 5e. And eventually I will go back because I'll get the itch again. I'll
tell you, one of the coolest parts about our hobby is that the only reason the game is dead is because you're not playing it.
Well,
right? If you've got the rules and you have it and it's on your shelf and you want to play it, you can find somebody who probably wants to play it. Your friends that you already game with, or some people online that you know, or whatever. And the other cool thing is there's plenty of people who want to play that game in multiple different ways, right?
Yes.
That are out there. You can pitch all sorts of crazy, cool ideas for 5e, BX, Delta Green, whatever it is you want to do. Shit, the Delta Green game that you guys are running, I give you shit that I'm like, oh my God, that doesn't sound like traditional Delta Green to me at all. But it's not traditional Delta Green. Who cares?
You know, you bring up a good point, Brett.
Let's see how it rolls, man. Because why not?
Yes. You bring up a fantastic point. As a matter of fact, if I ran 5e, I wouldn't probably run it with Dragonborn or Tieflings. But in BX, I would. I think it would be a different experience.
Actually, that would be a pretty different experience.
Right?
It'd be very different. I mean, that would go back to the old Gygax comment of if anybody wants to play a dragon, just make sure they're a first level dragon. And they have, I mean, he said that. That's a quote, you know, in one of his earlier writings. That's kind of cool.
And you could, you could change it to anything you want. You could be anything you want.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
You all right, Sean?
I'm just thinking about that game, man. Now I'm thinking, well, maybe I should kick that off somewhere, sometime. Like I got to write some of this shit down and start getting this underway. I don't know. But 5e is not gone nor forgotten, and it's gonna come back around, and it'll all be fine and dandy. I don't know if I would make changes. I don't know if I'd make we talked about removing skills at one point in time. You're gonna run Rime of the Frost Maiden, and you're gonna use 5e, right?
Yep, that's what I'm thinking about doing. Yeah.
Are you gonna implement any house rules to?
What I think I want to do more with 5e for Rime of the Frost Maiden is to take some of the published alternate rules that are in the DMG. We've talked about this. Old school DM is said, hey, Brett, dumbass, there's stuff out there. And they're like, yeah, you're right. There's a bunch of, there's some really cool other things that are within the DMG and some of these splat books and stuff. What I think I'd like to do, honestly, is comb through some of the books I have and then say, this fits this setting, so on and so forth, but have it all be within the game. I am not a huge fan of Dragonborn and Tieflings myself, and I think that's more for me just like, the world I have that isn't built into. However, the other thing I was thinking about was, making, because I like to homebrew my own world, right, is make a world that all of the 5e stuff fits in. Because I think part of my problem is that it feels shoehorned in to like the Forgotten Realms and some of the stuff, the official worlds and such of TSR. I think it would be fun to build a world, my own world, where it all has a place and so on that I helped create with my friends and stuff. I think that could be a lot of fun. And then the Dragonborn, much like Matt Colville with the Dragonborn in his homebrew world and how Tieflings operate and so forth. Like, that would be kind of fun to do, to build my own world and then take all the 5e components of it and make sure that they all have a place. I think that would be fun.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah. What's that?
That's okay.
I know it is.
It is okay. It's okay. You could do that.
I know, Sean. You all right there, buddy?
I am all right. I'm just thinking. I just got a lot of stuff going through my brain, Brett. It's like all good. It's all good stuff. Like, man, you don't think you're not afraid of me coming over there and telling you, like, hey, man, you can't be doing that shit.
You could try.
That's true. Brett owns many more guns than I do. Like, I don't know all.
Not even that. I'll lock the doors. Get the fuck out of here.
That's true. He doesn't even have to. That'd be enough for me. Knock, knock.
Push you off the stairs. Knock it off. Get out of here.
It's locked. Gotta go home.
You drove 4 hours to yell at me about this? You idiot. Yeah, I think, honestly, if I take kidding aside, one of the cool things I think that when I look at the list of the BSer games and the stuff that you've been getting into on the, I jokingly say that Sean hates 5e. Obviously, Sean doesn't.
I don't hate 5e.
No, but what I think is interesting, the way you're going about, like, hey, I'm kind of done with that for now. But I want to do these other things because I want to have these other experiences and so forth. it is interesting because when you're like, oh, it's different than D&D. I'm like, oh, how? Press you for that. You give me examples like, oh, that sounds like interesting. I don't know if I want to play that. Oh, I kind of want to try. Oh, I don't know what I want to do. With Forbidden Lands, it sounds interesting to me. I don't know if Forbidden Lands would supplant D&D in my gaming library, but I want to play it with you next time. Once this campaign is over and you kick off another one, I want to play.
I got Dark Springs Island specifically for that.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
You posted that up. I want to give that. I want to try that stuff. I want to try it to see. Wow, this could be a different type. My crew actually asked me the other day because I mentioned Dungeon Crawl Classics when they were over gaming, and they're like, we haven't played that in a while. We should try that again. That was kind of fun. Let's do another campaign. So I'm like, all right, that's back up on the list. I'm like, Jen Brinkman will be happy. I can tell her I'm running Dungeon Crawl Classics again for the guys. But I think to go back to what I was trying to say there, Sean, is I think one of the cool things that you're doing here is you're trying other games and so forth, and you're not bad-mouthing anything else. Right? Because it's very... So here's...
Is that how I'm coming across?
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm saying, what I'm saying is I remember this distinctly. And this kind of comes on the heels of games that change your mind. When I started playing Vampire, there were a couple of guys, men and women, I should say, that were playing with me at the time. And we were talking about different things and so on. And I remember the one gentleman said, yeah, those D&D books aren't fit for toilet paper. That's just crap. Those games suck. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, the quote was, I wouldn't wipe my ass with that rule book. I'm like,
damn,
whoa,
you have a dirty ass, dude.
Well, that's like, what the fuck? First off, it's 300 plus pages of toilet paper if you really need it.
Come on, buddy.
But I'm like, man, but it was very common, at least in the World of Darkness circles I was privy to bash anything else. I found that a lot within. It was very popular. Dungeons and Dragons is stupid. That's for babies and people who really don't do real role playing. That's World of Darkness, baby. Vampire, man, this is where the real role playing is. And then somewhere apart from that were the people who played like they went to AmberCon and played Amber Diceless hardcore like the rest of you are all a bunch of wusses because you don't know how to really. So there was that, and it's still out there.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right, obviously in the game.
I haven't experienced it, but I know it's out there.
Yeah, and what I think is important is that it's an ironic title, or maybe not ironic, just silly. It's important the way we expand and do different things within the hobby. Like, hey, I really like this game, and someone says, hey, what about 5e? You're like, I'm kind of done with that for now. Well, you don't like 5e? No, I'm just saying I'm done with it for now. I don't want to play it right now. It's you want to play Pinochle? I've been playing Pinochle for 15 years. Can I please try to play Texas Hold'em? Something else.
Sheep's Head. God
Sheep's
damn
Head.
it,
Anything.
Brett.
I've never played.
You've never played Sheep's Head?
No, I have tried.
I love that game.
Euchre, no good at that.
I don't like Euchre.
Anyway.
I'm not a big fan.
Anyway, point is that not everybody settles in and plays one game for the rest of their lives.
True.
Or one style.
Some do.
Some do, absolutely do, which is really wicked cool. There is a piece of me that, we've talked about this before ages back, but you meet that person who's been in effectively the same Dungeons and Dragons or whatever campaign world, I'm picking D&D because it's old, for 30 years, 40 years. They've got 3-ring fucking binders of just lore and knowledge their characters have built. They've lost characters, built new ones. It's this crazy campaigns have come and gone, but it's all within the world, man. And I'm like, wow, there's something cool in that. That's kind of neat. I don't know if I want to do that. Right? Because I look at that and my first thought is, that's wicked cool. Wow, I am envious of you.
Yeah, much respect.
Envious of you that you have the time to do it. You have that much passion for it. And you found your jam and you're just fucking jamming on it. Boom, you've got that. No, I got other stuff. I got other games I want to try. Not going to tell you suck because you haven't played Call of Cthulhu yet. I don't care. I'm like, oh, dude, you got to try this. I want to pull you in, right? And that's what you're doing. What I see anyway. So, short version is I want to say I thought you're going about it the right way. Quite frankly,
Brett.
When you tell me, hey, I really like this Forbidden Lands thing, man. I don't honestly get the feeling that you're like, oh, the games suck. It's Forbidden Lands or die.
No.
It's not your approach, and I think it's really well done. The way you come at it.
I think that the folks, and this isn't 5e either. I mean, Intracasso's 5e target audience. I think it's with any game that you play out there where people might be adverse to trying other ones because they don't want to learn a completely new rule set. And my only rebuttal to that would be, you might not have to learn a completely new rule set up front in order to try it or have a good time. Like if you go to a convention and you want to roll DCC or whatever, Blades in the Dark, I mean, if you're going to a con in 4 hours, you're probably not going to learn the complete and entire rule set. And let's face it, I mean, I got Edge of the Empire right here. This thing is not a thin book. Like this thing is a freaking beast. It's like, what is it come weigh in at? 380 pages, whatever. 442 pages, right? So it's not small, but the rules itself are relatively straightforward. Like many can be boiled down in this book to like a few pages. So it's like it's a preference where somebody says, "Hey, I don't want to learn another rule set." Understandable, great, and that's okay, and that's your prerogative. But you may not have to just read the entire 480 pages of a rule book to play it once and have a good time. So
I think sometimes that statement of "I don't want to learn a new rule set" is a simple
oversimplification.
It's an oversimplification for a very complicated reason, and it is difficult. Sure. And sometimes, quite frankly, somebody's fucking business why you don't want to do it,
or they just don't want to, which is they just say like, "I don't want to."
Yeah. I have. So the other reason I bring this up is I've had people say, "Well, I really don't want to do it." Like, okay, cool, that's fine, man. That's totally fine. I had a gentleman who used to game with me. This ages back. He's moved. But
I can't believe he moved.
Not. I can't believe he moved either. Right. It's just it's hurt me. But I will not name names. But he, quite frankly, did not have a lot of money at all in any way, shape, or form. Barely making ends meet. Yeah. He had a couple rule books. That's what he liked to play. And if I said, "Hey, I was thinking about," he's like, "Well, I'm really not ready to learn a new rule system. Really like what I have." The undertone was he was not able to afford to buy a new rule book. He didn't want to ask for charity. There was no PDFs at the time. He didn't want to say, "Hey, Brett, could you lend me your book?" He was a proud individual, and he didn't want to. Quite frankly, he felt embarrassed. And he told me that at one point. We're out drinking, and he said, "Yeah, I really can't. Oh, geez, I'm glad you guys invited me out. I'm sorry I haven't been able to buy around. I just, me. I'm like, dude, it's fine. It's totally fine." He's like, "Well, I want to play some of these games you're talking about. I just don't have any money." I'm like, "I got a spare rule book." "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I bought 2. It's fine. I mean, I bought one for the table."
That's a valid reason. Like, I don't want to buy another rule book.
No, exactly. I can't afford it. The reason I'm saying it's an oversimplification is, and told that rather personal story, is simply because sometimes there's more to it than that. And I think when people give you a reason why they don't want to learn a new rule system, and sometimes it's just a snap answer like, "Look, I don't want to get into this discussion right now, so I'm going to give you this pat answer, which is leave me alone." And I think we need to respect that. And I think that's another thing that what I see the BSers doing, and decent people, you yourself do this as well, is other people like, "I don't know if I want to try it." "Are you sure? Because we could." "Yeah, I really don't think so." "Okay, cool, man. If you ever want to, let me know."
Dude, it's not. I'm not a drug dealer. Christ.
No, but the cool thing is that I think it's a great approach though, because when we do that, when someone says, "I want to try something," and we're like, "Hey, do you want to?" Or we say, "Do you want to try this?" "I'm not. I don't know if I'm interested." "You sure? Because we could do." "I don't know." "Okay, man, just let me know." And that type of back off gives that person an opportunity to relax. And sometimes it's like, look, they just spent their year's allowance on the last 2 or 3 splat books. Their fund money allowance is gone, and they got their D&D splat books. They just got Tasha's, and they're really not in any position to do, or time's a premium for people.
Sure.
Not everybody can do different things, but anyway, we're kind of deviated a bit there at the tail end here, but
I don't know.
Not that we do that too much.
No.
But I think one of the things that that I've learned from you, watching you kind of say, "Hey, I'm going to put 5 of you aside. I want to go get this other stuff." My tendency, quite frankly, is like, that seems weird. You can do that. And you're like, "Yeah, I know, dude. I know. I don't care. I want to do this thing." And I don't try as many game systems as you. You have done and played more game systems than I have. I will almost guarantee.
Yeah, I think I think we've established that fact. Brett has played more, probably, like consistently over time more.
Yeah, hours at a table. I've got more hours at a table,
Yes.
but neat for me.
But you've played like very big chunks of one game.
Like one massive investment in this and a massive investment in this next thing. And I think there's something really cool about that. You and I've talked about, but there's also something wicked cool with them. Like, I wonder what this like. You're like, yeah, I played that with Ron Edwards, the guy who made the game. Yeah, I played that with this person. Like, holy fuck, dude. Yeah, I played that at this con. I was over here and I got in on this game. Yeah, I tried this out. That's pretty wicked. I mean, that's really cool. And I think it doesn't make somebody who does that a lesser or weaker gamer by any stretch. Right. But I think it's a different breadth.
Yes.
Of experience, which is like I said, when I'm like, yeah, but you can, you're like, yeah, yes, Brett, I can. I don't want to have to build it. I want to try this very specific rules as written as much as we can type of approach to see how it works. And what I have noticed when we talk on the show, whenever you've had a new game that you really liked, you come back with, I want to use this toolkit.
Well, I come back and say, hey,
that's really cool.
I got this cool game.
But the other thing, though, is that like Ekadokan was talking about, you taking pieces of that stuff and it's improving any game you're playing.
Well,
because you're experiencing different rule sets and different pieces and parts. Like, ooh, I like this thing. Then when AD&D comes up, or 5e, or Savage Worlds, you're like, ooh, I could inject this thing I learned from Forbidden Lands right now. And this will make this encounter wicked cool.
And there is a weird dynamic,
really
like going back to the last episode where we talked about games that influenced us or kind of changed how we play, et cetera. And some of that, you don't have to take like Savage Worlds and go, target number 4, that's cool. I'm going to make that in. I'm going to put that into my D&D game. But I think what it does is it opens up things a little bit in the back of your brain, subliminally, subconsciously, that you may not, you could. I mean, there's nothing saying that it wouldn't happen, but I think sometimes some of that stuff may come forward in how you present your game if you're running as a GM or even as a player. Because sometimes as a player, you may run. So, for example, Savage Worlds has disadvantages, hindrances, right? Has hindrances as for player characters. And so that's part of the game, and there's a mechanical value usually that's attributed to those. And you kind of run it, and great, and you have a good time with Savage Worlds. And if you play with other Savage Worlds folks that embrace those hindrances as part of the game and the mechanics, then it's a different experience than maybe something else that you've played. Now you go back to 5e, which you've played before, or maybe haven't, and then you're like, hey, I have these character flaws. They're not like spelled out necessarily. Maybe the bonds or background might incorporate those, but you as a player have experienced that in a different game and how that works. And so you don't have to bring the hindrances over verbatim and say, here's a list of hindrances, pick them, and then they're going to up and down your skill set. But as a role player, you can embrace them from a character perspective and go.
And you can implement them in as character, and you're going to have a better time. And you're also going to bring more wisdom to the table.
Sure.
And the rest of the crew is going to look at, oh, that's how, if they've not seen or done it in that light before.
Right.
Because at that point, like, oh, there's no mechanical advantage or disadvantage. Yeah, but it's wicked cool to have hindrances, so I'm doing it.
PBTA game, right? I know Brett is not a fan. People are still wondering what the deal is with Brett. I told people, I'm like, look, here's the deal. He's not going to bang on PBTA because he knows that people like it.
It's just rude. It's rude. Yeah.
But what's the point? We know that for the kind of establishing it.
For the record, it's not my game.
It's not Brett's jam. But at the same time, it also can say, like me personally experiencing that, failing forward, I can go, oh, when I run a game in 5e, I can implement that. Instead of doing like a pass-fail hard black and white, I can be a little bit more forgiving in my style and approach and saying, hey, yes, you succeed, however, or, yeah, you failed, done, but...
I think the coolest thing I took out of when I read PBTA and I played Dungeon World, the coolest thing I got was like, I like these questions. Tell me about a time when this person saved you, or those bonds, the way they create them. I have used that so many times. I'm not a mechanics fan for PBTA, but the narration components of it, I'm like, I love that taking it.
Yeah.
So I like that piece of it. I'm like, I don't like the execution from a mechanics perspective. That's a personal flavor thing. Who gives a shit? But I'm like, ooh, great. And now when I have these conversations, even with my old grumpy, grognard old buddies of mine who've been playing together for 30 years, and I pull out that question. Hey, Lenny, tell me about a time when Alpha saved you. He's like, oh, I love this. All right, let's do that. Let's talk about that. This sounds fun.
And they don't care where it comes from.
Nobody gives a fuck.
No.
They're like, "Ooh, somebody might say, hey, that's a cool. Where'd you get it from?" Like, yeah, I got it from this PBTA game. I was in 2 Kingdom Mechanics, but I really like this piece. Oh, that sounds cool. It's fun, and I think that by you, because of doing this podcast with you and your love of trying different things, and you are not afraid to leave a game system behind for a while, let it gather dust for a bit, and then come back to it. I have learned a lot more about other systems that I didn't know existed, which I think is pretty cool.
Yes.
So anyway, I think that's about it.
Yeah.
We good?
I'm good, dude.
All right, let's move on.
Let's get into die roll. Die roll, 2 to 4 miscellaneous points of gaming and geekery you want to bring to you. First up, DCC Legacy. It's you hear about this, Brett?
I did not.
So it is not, as you can see, considered organized play. However, it's Goodman Games' stab at being able to take and port your character from one table to another. So if you go to a con and you start out Dave Beatty's table and you go through a funnel
table, and you go to Jen Brinkman's table, right, and then you end up over at it's a simple and optional system for continuing one-shot and convention characters, an easy-to-use system of log sheets that define XP values for extent adventurers, allowing you to transfer characters from one participating judge's game to another. Neat.
Yep. So I thought, hey, that's great. Good for them.
And if I know Joseph Goodman and that crew, there's going to be badges and patches.
Oh God!
My character survived 15
DCC crew,
15 judges. Yeah, DCC crew.
There.
Talk about a game system that I like it. It's fun. I
like the community better than the game.
The community's amazing. Get a chance to hang out with those folks. Hang out with them at a con. They're a fucking
they're
great people. Very, very fun. Anyway, carry on.
The next one, and I do like DCC. I don't know. Comparatively speaking, with community, they're pretty tough.
Yeah.
The next one, The Darkest House Kickstarter by Monty Cook Games. Have you seen this, Brett?
No, I figured that the Kickstarter would start late and end late and deliver late, Brett, as most of his Kickstarters do.
Brett's editorial on Kickstarters with Monty Cook, which I knew was going to come up. I got to say, I streamed this on Saturday, and I'm like, this Darkest Hour thing, I don't know if somebody brought it up or what.
Darkest House.
House. I don't know if somebody brought it up or what the case was, but you can. So I'm like, what is this bullshit? Like, and because I didn't look at Invisible Sun, I didn't back it, I didn't look at it. All I knew was some of the things that I had read online about, hey, we want to make, is it hard to get people at the table? Is it hard to coordinate it? Is prepping taking you too long? I thought Invisible Sun was supposed to address some of that. I don't know if it did or not. Regardless, this one is supposed to be a play anywhere, play virtual tabletop on, Zoom, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you scroll down the Kickstarter, you could actually download The Darkest House, like a couple levels for free. Zippo, 0. Like, this is what we're trying to do. And it explains what they're attempting to do, and you can download the trial. And I gotta say, this goes back to the innovation in gaming, Brett.
Yeah, actually, I started looking at this one. I'm like, I don't know. Little burn on Kickstarter type of thing. Do I really care? And I started looking, I'm like,
that's okay. Right.
This seems innovative, which is exactly what I was thinking.
Exactly.
This is a different approach. It is. A very different approach.
It is. So it is the PDF on steroids. Is my to me that's so you take the PDF and you have it linked and hyperlinked. This is probably 3 notches above that, which is you download it and it's like an app. It's an app. So you download it and it has these, like, the panes, like you have the map pane, you have an outline on your right, and everything is hyperlinked, even on the map. And this is not a PDF. This is an app, whether it's done in Node or whatever programming language. And you literally, if you want to show the players, you can either share your screen or you click a link because it's right on the damn screen. Click this link, it copies it, and you put it in the chat, and all the players can click that link, and it shows them what that map looks like.
Yeah, it's made, 1,551 backers as of right now, 10 days to go as of today, March 22nd, 2021. And they have made $115,705 out of a $45K goal.
Right. So it's money does well in the Kickstarter space. But my point of the whole thing is that regardless Kickstarter or not, the approach that they're taking with this is it's a house, of course, it's a haunted house in a single adventure. But the way they constructed everything is like I'm telling you, man, you don't want any prep. You buy this thing and you just say, hey, you guys want to run? And it's system agnostic. There's no, roll to detect secret doors or do this or that because it's just, there's no system to it. It's just, here's the rooms. Here's some of the things that you might find. Here's the sounds. It has audio that you could play. And
yeah, it looks, it looks pretty immersive.
Yeah.
Looks pretty cool.
Yeah. So I wanted to give it props for what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Whether it does knock out the park, yes or no, remains to be seen. But what they're pushing, what envelope, if there's an envelope to push, they seem to be on an edge saying, what else can we do in this space? What makes sense? What can get done?
Well, and there's going to be tons of people that shit on it because they're going to be like, that's not a tabletop RPG. There's no pen, paper,
some dumb fuck somewhere is going to be a douche about
But
it.
I think it's something that is interesting in looking forward. What is that next step? And I think the format of this particular product is intriguing, whether or not it's embraced by the hobby. I mean, there's obviously a lot of people buying it, but I kind of like, sounds good. And I blew it off and then I downloaded it. I'm like, oh, I see what they're doing here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Next one, last one, Gen Con in person and pop-up. You read that, Brett?
No, I don't. I've not been paying attention.
So Gen Con is the plan is that they're going to have it on site, but they're going to limit the audience, I believe. I don't know if they're going to cap it, whatever the case is.
Yeah, I heard that, and it's at a different time of year too.
Yes, I think it's September.
They shifted it. They pushed it out. Yeah, they pushed it out.
And they're doing pop-ups, so like local game stores can partake. I don't quite sure how, or if it's just going to be some Gen Con sponsored event sanctioned thing at I don't know if you buy a Gen Con badge, you get into the store is going to have a list of events that people submit because they're local and you choose to run it local. I don't know. But I thought it was an interesting, and then they're going to do things online. So Gen Con is stepping it up to be kind of, where can it hit everything as far as a con goes? So that's interesting. I don't know if people are going the pop-up or online. So there's like 3 options, right? How you want a game.
Yeah.
They're trying to hit them all.
See.
So that's it for Die Roll. We talk about next, right, Brett?
Next week, I was thinking of pulling out the World of Darkness discussion, or I might pull one of the other topics forward. We've got one of the cool things about having a whole bunch of topics out in front of me is like I can switch them around. Whichever one seems more relevant, so I can be a little more freewheeling. So we'll see what happens.
Right, we did say last week we were talking about World of Darkness.
No, I know. So I'm thinking about doing it this next week.
So we changed it.
As most thinking about diving into it. So that's probably what we'll do.
Yeah, it'll give me time to buy all the books and read them all.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, every one of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All supplements and everything.
Yeah.
Every edition too.
Every edition. all variations. Don't forget the Onyx Path stuff too.
Brett, I will have to, so that way I can go Brett. But I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's accurate, Brett.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thanks for everybody that has tuned in to us and put up with our technical snafus earlier in the show. Thanks for tuning into the chat. Appreciate it, everybody. Appreciate everybody that's downloaded it. If you see this on YouTube, give us a like or a subscribe. And then we stream here every Monday nights at 8 p.m. Central Time on gamingnbs.com/Twitch. And otherwise, you can find the audio version of this online at your favorite podcatcher of choice. Otherwise, I am Sean.
And I'm Brett. Good night and good game and all.
This has been a Litterbox Studio production.